achieve Nishta Bhakti, study Bhakti, after which the taste that which conquers other tastes occurs in the person who is practicing Bhakti. Then Asakti, attachment for Kṛṣṇa, develops. And after that, you get a glimpse of God, that is Bhava, Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa also reveals himself slightly in this stage. And then Prema, which is actually love of God. And we are reading the 8th chapter. And in this chapter, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is describing the stage of Prema. And he has given a general definition. Now he is going into the details of the experiences of different ecstasies by the devotee in the stage of Prema. Tatra, so previous week we read that when the devotee gets the darshan of the Lord, he has attained a state as if he is roaming around all the time in a desert place, and then comes to a shade under the tree of banyan and drinks a lot of cold water from Ganges. You get a sort of feeling like that. Finally, you have attained the nectar. So in that, he says, Tatra prathamam labdha apara chamatkarasya bhaktasya lochana yoga so saundaryam prakashate prabhuna. So the Prabhu, the Lord, he actually shows his own saundarya, beauty, to the eyes of the devotee. And the devotee is described as labdha apara chamatkara. He has attained so many wonderful things, astonishing things. So that to that devotee, he is showing his beauty. Tataha tan madhuryena sarva indriyana manasagacha lochanamayi bhave pravartite stambha kampa bhashpadibihi krita vignaha cha tasya ananda krita murchayam jatayam prabhotayitum iva dvitiyam saurabhyam tatiya grahana indriyeshu prakashyate. So when Kṛṣṇa shows his form, what happens? Because of the sweetness that is there in the form, all of the senses of the devotee, including his mind, take the form of the eyes. Because the eyes alone are not enough to taste the beauty of the Lord. So all the senses take on the form of the eyes, and then they taste the sweetness of the form of Kṛṣṇa. And at that point, what happens? Stamba, kampa, and bashpa. That is, he becomes paralyzed. He gets shivering, and he gets the tears in his eyes. All these different ecstatic symptoms manifest in the devotee because of the ecstasy he is feeling within. These are the sattvika bhavas, which you will read in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. These sattvika bhavas are just mere expressions of the bhava within the heart. Because of the love the devotee is having to Kṛṣṇa, these external symptoms manifest. Just as if there is a problem in my body, the fever manifests. Fever is a symptom of something else going on in the body. There is some other problem. So similarly, because of the bhava within the heart, these different ecstatic symptoms manifest. But these ecstatic symptoms become an obstacle for the devotee to taste Kṛṣṇa's beauty at that point, because when you get paralyzed, you cannot do any action. When you get shivering also, and the tears are blocking the eyes from seeing Kṛṣṇa. So these are acting as obstacles, though these are nothing but expressions of his own love for Kṛṣṇa. Chatasya ananda krita murchayam jatayam prabodhayitum. And then the devotee swoons, he faints because of the bliss that arises from the experience of Kṛṣṇa's beauty. So when the person falls, when the person faints, you have to wake him up. So Kṛṣṇa wakes him up by showing his saurabha, the fragrance of his body. into his nose, Grahana Indriya. So he reveals the second quality of his form. Tena api tesham grana mayi bhave dvitiya murcha arambe. Are mad bhakta tava ahameva sampadhyamanaha asmi ma vivali bhuhu nikama mam anubhava iti tritiyam saundaryam shravana indriya grahyam avirbhavyate. So when the fragrance arises from Krishna's form and then enters into the nostrils of the devotee, all the senses now take on the form of this nostrils, and then they try to experience that sweetness. And because of that, he again faints because it's too much for him to behold. And at that time, Krishna comes and wakes him up like, hey, my devotee, Are Mad Bhakta, I have become you. I have been earned by you. Tava aham eva sampadhyamanaha asmi ma vivali bhuhu. So don't become agitated. Nikamam mam anubhava. Fully to your heart's content, experience me. He is saying, Krishna is saying. So in that way, he is showing his third quality, which is his voice. He reveals his voice, by saying these statements. And it enters into the ears of the devotee. Punagatena api tesham shravanamayi bhave tritiya murcha upakrame kripaya charana aravindena panibhyam murasas cha swa sparsham dattva chaturtam swa saukumaryam asau anubhavyate. So again, when Krishna's words enter into the ears of the devotee, all the senses of the devotee becomes the form of ear, and then they try to hear the words of Krishna. It's so sweet. At that point, again, he faints one more time. So at that point, when he starts to faint, Krishna gives his own touch in the form of his lotus feet, his hands, and his chest. This is the fourth manifestation of his quality. He makes him experience, he makes the devotee experience his touch. Tatra dasya bhavataha tasya murdhni charanena sparshaha sakya bhavataha panyoho panibhyam vatsalya bhavataha swakara talena ashrumarjanam preyasi bhavataha tu urasi swavakshasha bhagubhyam ashleshaha kriyate iti bhedaha bodhyaha. So here in the case of touch, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said three things: lotus feet, hands, and chest. Actually, he says that these are for different rasas. So if the devotee is in the rasa of a dasya, servant to Krishna, then he reveals his lotus feet and puts that lotus feet onto the head of the devotee. Take shelter of that, because the devotee is in the dasya bhava. If the devotee is in the sakya bhava, friendship with Krishna, then he shows his hands, basically. He gives his hands, just like, friends, they touch each other with hands, like that. And if the devotee is in the vatsalya bhava, that is in the parenthood, so Krishna takes his hands, with his own hands, he wipes out the tears of the devotee. This is the exchange of child and the parent. When the parent embrace their kid, they become so agitated emotionally and tears come out. And if the child wipes out the tears, that increases the vatsalya bhava further. So like that, Krishna wipes out the tears of the parental devotee. And if the devotee is in the Madhurya bhava, then he actually embraces with his chest, which is a part of the Madhurya. So in this way, we have to understand the differences of the touch. Punahacha tena api tatha eva chaturtha mahamurcha arambhe panchamam swa adhara sambandhi saurasyam tadiya rasana indriya grahyam prayasi bhavavati eva tatkala pradurbhuta Tat abhishtakarvati jane eva prakashyate na anyatra. So again, the last one which Krishna showed us, the touch, which is actually so great that it gives a heavy faint. It's a great unconscious state. The devotee enters into that. So, but he gives the fifth one, that is his lips, which is the form of taste. So he gives only to devotees who are in the Madhurya Rasa, because that is appropriate for Madhurya Rasa. That's not for other rasas. So he only gives the fifth quality, the taste, to the devotees in the Madhurya Rasa. Na anyatra, he doesn't give that to anybody else because it is not appropriate for other devotees. So I will stop here actually. I will go to Chaitanya Charitamrita, where similar sort of verses are being discussed, and we'll look at it. This is Delila 15. Let's see. So this is the Antilila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 15. Here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he goes to Jagannath Puri. He is in Jagannath Puri. He goes to take darshan of Lord Jagannath. At one point when he was taking darshan, he actually sees Kṛṣṇa, the son of Nanda Maharaj, there. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is playing the role of a devotee. So he is also sort of going through different stages, and this stage he is actually getting the darshan of Kṛṣṇa, that is Vraja Kṛṣṇa in the Vraja attire, the son of Nanda Maharaj. He gets the darshan of Kṛṣṇa in Jagannatha. So at that point he becomes ecstatically overwhelmed. Then the Upalabhoga for Jagannath starts. Then he comes back to his home and he discusses with Swarupa Damodar and Ramananda Rai, holding their necks like this. So we'll look at what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is discussing. And he is in the mood of Radharani, the Madhurya Rasa. So he's discussing these different qualities, what we just now saw. Krishna Rupa Shabda Sparsha Sarabhya Dhara Rasa Jara Madhurya Kahana Na Jai Deki Lobe Pancha Jana Eka Ashwamara Mana Chadi Pancha Pancha Dike Dhai. Krishna Rupa Shabda Sparsha, Krishna's form, sound and touch, Sarabhya fragrance, and Adhara Rasa, the sweetness of his lips. Jara Madhurya Kahan Na Jai. So who can explain the sweetness of all these five qualities of Krishna? Deki Lobe Pancha Janam Eka Ashwamara Mana. So looking at all these five different qualities, the mind Chadi Pancha Dike Dhai. The mind actually takes the form of a horse. And then it goes into five different directions. Saki he shuna mora dhukera karan mora panchentriya gana maha lampada dasyugan sabeka he hara paradhan. So he is speaking to Swarupa Damodar and Ramananda Rai, and he is in the mood of Radharani. He is explaining the ecstatic dialogues between Radharani and his Sakis. So, oh Saki, listen to the reason for my lamentation. Dukkera Karan. Mora Panchendriya Gana, his five senses, he is describing as Maha Lampata Dasyu Gana. Dasyu means basically a person who steals on the way. What is that called? mug, those who mug you on the way. When you're going on the way, suddenly they come and then take away all of your wealth. So that is Dasyugan. So all these five senses of the devotee in the Prema stage, that is, he is describing himself, they are acting like Dasyu. And then they try to steal somebody else's wealth. That is Krishna's wealth, Krishna's five different qualities they are trying to steal. Eka ashba, eka kone, pancha dike tane, eka man kon dike jai, eka kale sabetane, gela godar parane, eduko sohana jai. So each senses now take on the form of a horse, and they are going into five different directions. But there is only one mind, and then one mind is being pulled into five different directions at one time. So what is going to happen? The person, if you're holding five horses and the five horses are pulling in five different directions, you're going to tear apart. So like that, the mind is being torn apart. And he is describing as a great misery, which cannot be explained. Indriyena kore rosh, iha sabara kahandosh, Krishna rupadira maha akarshan, rupati pancha tane, gela godar parane, more dehe na rahe jivan. So what is the point of being angry with my senses? Because it is not the fault of the senses. It is actually the great attraction of Krishna's form qualities. And the form, his sweetness, his touch, his fragrance. So because of this, the senses are going into different direction because they are all attracted by the five different qualities of Krishna. And because of that, the holder of the five horses actually gives up his life. Krishna Rupa Amruta Sindhu, Tahar Taranga Bindu, Eka Bindu Jagat Dubai. The Krishna's form is like a ocean of nectar. And even one drop of that ocean can actually drown the whole world. Then what to speak of full form? This is what at the stage of Prema is being given to the devotee. Even one drop of Krishna's beauty can drown the whole world. What to speak of giving the whole form? And that is why he goes into the stage of ecstasy, what we previously saw in Madhurya Kādambini. Tri jagate jotanari tarab chitta uchagiri tahadubaya gebuti dhai. So because he is in the Madhurya Rasa, he is explaining that all the minds of the woman in the three worlds are like the high hills. So when the hills are very high, the ocean cannot drown it. But this ocean can even drown large hills also. Krishnera bachan madhuri, nana rasa narmadhari, tara anya katana najhai. So Krishna's words are very sweet, and it's filled with various joking, narma, various joking, parihasa, that is, sweet or joking words with various rasas. Who can describe the atrocities of these words? Jagatera narira kane, madhurigena ma bhanditane, tanatani kanera pranajai. So it enters into the ears of all the women, and then it binds them with the sweetness. And then there is a tug of war happening, because of which the prana, the life here, goes away. Krishna anga shushital, ki ko himutarabal, chatai jine koti yindu chandan. So Krishna's body is very, very cool. Who can explain the strength of that touch? It is so cool than thousands of moon together in the night, because of the moon's light. We also feel a certain type of coldness in the morning. Because of sun's heat, we don't feel the coldness, but in the moon's light is cool. So thousands of moon are millions and millions of moons put together. It cannot equal the coolness of Krishna's body, or even a lot of sandalwood. If you keep together, sandalwood also is known for its coolness. Shashaila narira bhaka taha akarshite daka akarshaye nariganaman. He goes and embraces all the women with that touch. Krishna anga saurabhya bhar mrugamada madaha nilotpalera haraye garbadhan. So Krishna's body's fragrance, it is said to be a combination of musk. Musk is what you get from a deer. So it's a scent. So it is a combination of the musk scent and the blue lotus flowers fragrance. But here it's described Murugamada Mada Har, the pride of the musk. It's being defeated by the fragrance that is naturally coming out of Krishna's body. Nila Utpalera Hare Garbadhan, the Garbha or the pride of blue lotus is also being stolen away by the fragrance of Krishna's body. Jagat Nariranash Tare Bhitare Patabash Narigane Kore Akarshan. So it enters into the nostrils of all the women of the world, and then it takes a residence there, and then it attracts all of their nostrils. Krishnera adhamma amruta tate karpura mandasmita samadhurye hare nari raman. So Krishna's Lord, the sweet lips are like nectar, and when you make amrita or nectar drink, you put camphor in it to make it more fragrant. And if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, you would understand whenever Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is describing some sweet, he always puts camphor on top of that, which seems to be like topping the cake with the icing like that. So Krishna's light smile in that lips is like a karpura in the amrita. Put a camphor on that, and that sweetness actually steals away all the women's mind. Anacharat sadailo napaile mane khob brajanari ganera muladhan. It makes them lose all other attractions, and it agitates their mind greatly. And it is the great wealth, or the only wealth of Vrindavana gopis, the gopis of Vrindavan. Eta kahi gabrahari dui janara kantadhari. So like this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is describing all the 5 different qualities of Krishna holding on to the neck of Sarupa Damodar and Ramananda Rai. So we'll stop here. If you have any questions or comments, you can let me know. Hare Krishna. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Prabhuji, please.
We were just reading about the sweet smile of Krishna, and the way it has been described, how sweet the smile is. And the gopis, they were always looking for that smile. How can we look at that smile? We can only look in the pictures.
Yeah, in the sense, how can we look at the smile means?
How can we look at that kind of Krishna smile? Means for us, we can only look at the picture, or we can imagine that smile based on what we read, and
I see. Okay.
And relish ourselves.
Yeah. So in 10th canto commentary, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that though in the sadhaka stage, the devotee is having the material mind, the material senses, he still thinks of Krishna using his material mind only. So he will conceive a form, which is again material only, because the mind is material also. But Krishna in the Vaikuntha or in the Goloka, he thinks that, oh, this devotee is trying to think about me. I'm attracted by that. Even though the devotee is trying to think of Krishna using his material mind only, Krishna is still attracted by that. So it is okay to think of the Krishna's form using our material mind also, or from whatever the descriptions we are getting from the scriptures or experienced devotees like Kṛṣṇa Das Kaviraj Goswami. Kṛṣṇa is pleased by that.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, wonderful. Very nice description, Prabhu.
Thank you. So we'll stop here. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Krishna,
Krishna.
Thank
you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.